I'm Paula Bohland, and you are with Paula B Coaching, and welcome to my YouTube channel.
I have a client that I met at a conference, and she found out what I do and started to cry. And I was kind of perplexed because this was kind of like one of those upscale networking thing where people that are making significant amount of money are there to meet other people. And she just broke down crying. And I was like, what's going on? And she said, you know what, I'm making, and she said shit tons of money. I'm making a lot of money every year, but I hate it. I'm so busy, I can't even, breathe. I don't know, if I can keep going even, and I need to talk to you. And the reason she wanted to talk to me is because of my knowledge with real estate strategy. And she wanted to, thinking that she wanted to get out using real estate strategy. So it's a great place to start, right? She's so busy and so overwhelmed. We tried to make an appointment while we were there at the conference, and that wouldn't even work for her. She couldn't look at her schedule and figure that out. And it took us a month and a half to be able to meet on a Saturday for 1 hour. And when I finally made the appointment with her, she started crying again, and she said, you see why I need this. What we're taught is that once we get to our success level financially, whatever it is, $500,000 a year, maybe, and with the career, she's an attorney, a very well-known attorney, very high paid. We're taught that everything in the pattern of what we learn in school, what we learn in the world, what we learn is once we have it all financially and once we have it all career-wise, we've done it all, right? But nobody ever told us, nobody's ever thought about with us that that's really the starting line. And sometimes it can be the ending line, right? I mean, it can so overwhelm you and so whatever. But why it's the starting line? Because you got the money now, you got the ability now, you've got the knowledge now, and now it's time to put it together with something that really compels you, really drives you, something that you really want. And so I talked to her, not so much, we did talk about real estate investing, because I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I told her about how she could invest in real estate, and we would do it for her so she didn't have, because it took her a month and a half to even meet with me, and she's crying the whole time. I mean, how are we going to, tell her to go run a real estate project, right? But there are projects that'll help her get to her North Star. So first of all, we had to figure out what her North Star is. So instead of our first meeting being about how do you coaching, this is what I'd tell you to do, go buy a rental house and I mean, I know all that, but what I wanted to hear first is what did she want? And this is a really common thing that I see with high achieving people, is we're so into the pattern of what we do every day of just trying to get through that we've gotten from creating to survival mode, and we're in survival mode even though we're making a lot of money and people think that we're really successful, and we don't know anymore what we want. We're just in it. And so the first thing I did with her was to stop for a minute to listen. Remember I've said before, if you know what you don't want, you could flip that around and you're gonna know what you do want. So listen, I listened to her, and she told me the story about, she has a sick parent, she's a busy single mom, she's been running for years, she's burnt out, she doesn't get a minute away from the office. My mind's going on to solve these problems because I used to be a business coach and how to do that. But I listened, just listen. And after a while, when she was telling me what was going on in her life, which is quite overwhelming, she started telling me what she really did want. She wanted more time with her kids. She didn't really even want to be in practice anymore, in her attorney practice, her legal practice. She wanted to travel and see the world. She wanted to go to the spa. She has a lot of money, but she can't even get time to go to the spa. She wanted to really have time and like get rid of this thing of this time scarcity idea and like prove to herself that she could live in a time that wasn't so chaotic. She wanted to get rid of the chaos. So while I'm talking to her, we're starting to achieve her North Star, that thing that she really wants that's going to fill her. Part of what she really wants is because it's a reaction to what's been going on for years and years, and she's got to recover from that. That's totally fine. So I want more time. I want to go to the spa, all that stuff. Start tracking that out, right? We start writing that out. And then it started to evolve into, I really want to travel. I want to leave my law practice. I want to have passive income on repeat, so I don't have to show up there anymore. I want to, I want to expand my retirement, so my retirement is so full. I don't have to worry about if I'm going to have enough. This is what was coming out more and more and more, and that was her North Star. And so what I did at that moment is we wrote it all down. I wrote it all down for her. I reflected it back to her. You don't want this. This is what you do want. This is like, you want more time, but you also want a retirement that's full and happy. You can travel, all the things. When I got it right, then we started talking about real estate strategy, because the real estate strategy can absolutely fund all of that. She can leave her law practice. She can have a retirement that builds beyond what she even has right now, and it continues. She can have passive income. And I started to give her some suggestions. So the first suggestion I gave her was, let's just go ahead and I'll do a done for you flip, because we want to bring in enough money so you see a little bit of cash, like its own business, that we have a little bit of cash that's funding it. So, $100,000, $50,000, we might, and then we'll look at that point about another flip. But the next thing I wanted to do after that is move her investment strategy. Like, I'm handling this for her and we're talking this out, but I know what to do, right? And I'm going to handle it all for her. So she's starting to relax. And I'm telling her that we're building a real estate business, a real estate investment business, and the plan for the real estate investment business is not so you have to run another business. The plan is that you will go travel. You will have a fat retirement. We will use this money to fund your North Star. And as your North Star evolves, we'll pick it up even bigger and bigger, because real estate can go as big as you want it to go, can invest as much as you want to. So we usually start a little bit small, so we get the trust factor, we can see how this goes. And I told her I was going to do it all for her, our magic done for you program. So the decision was, we're going to do a couple of flips and have, $50,000 a flip or more, and have that pool of money, and then use that money to invest in some rentals. The rental idea, which a lot of people call the BRRR method, is you buy it, you renovate it, you rehab it, and then you rent it, right? So that method where you buy something and you do a value add, and then you put it out and you rent it out, and so you have somebody paying essentially your mortgage plus more on top of it. And then that asset, because you've done a value add, increases in value. And that you don't need to know all this, but the strategy is that you can start to use that asset to fund other assets as well, because you're going to have equity in that, and you can borrow on the equity. Okay, so we get a couple of homes or projects that are single family, and get that income coming in on top of the amount of money that you got from a flip. We might put a flip in the middle of it to just do infusion of cash, And then the next plan is the next step, which is bigger. And we don't have to necessarily do this, but this is what I planned out with her because she wasn't so sure about this. She wanted to just sort of like watch what happened, and we were going to grow slowly. But the next step is to invest in multifamily, because multifamily is like just a bigger project of the invest, value add, rent it out, and you can make, depending on the role you take, and again, this is done for her. She's not doing this. She's continuing to be at her law practice with her North Star in front of her, starting to calm down, starting to know that something else is on the horizon. Her nervous system is settling down. She's got something that she can look forward to that excites her, some reason that she's not sitting in her car crying on Monday morning. And all of a sudden, miraculously, she starts setting limits and not worrying about taking care of everything every day. We sort of start, walking into that world of business coaching, which is fine. But I'm helping her with this strategy, and she can see it every single month. And she can also see with the plan that we put together how those income streams are going to increase her retirement, allow her to travel, allow her to move out of her legal practice and get into significant income very quickly that's passive for her, that she doesn't have to do any of it. So her North Star is now absolutely leading her money. She knows, and she's in a project that's not in her doing it all, right? Now she's still at her law practice, and like we talked about, she's still doing that, but her North Star, her retirement, all of the more time, traveling the world, all of that is leading her life. It's leading her money. And so all of these things that we put together, the flips, the strategy, the real estate investment strategy, creating a business, is going to handle it for her while she has that passive income, allowing her to relax and become what she wants to. Now we're early into this, so I'll give you an update on how this is going. The big outtake of this is the relax, I know that I'm working on something that fills me up, something that feels wonderful. So we'll give you the update. And if you're in a similar situation, if you've heard yourself here in this story, if you're going to your high-paying business that you run, your practice, whatever it is, and something else is calling you, and or you want to go do something else, maybe you want to be a philanthropist, whatever it is, I'm glad to chat with you and get into the conversation of, number one, your North Star, number two, that you're not at the finish line, you're at the beginning of the line, and we'll get that North Star to work for you, and how we can do this with real estate, funding it as your vehicle without, maybe, unless you want to, you even to have to touch it. You don't have to be involved. I mean, of course we're going to fill you in. Of course we're going to tell you what you do, but what is happening, we're going to tell you, you're going to know all your numbers. You're going to know how your business is building, but the day to day, you start to be relieved. You start to be in Cabo and you get reports of what is happening. And I could share another story of a guy who's, and I will in another episode, of one of my clients who actually his father passed away when we were just getting going. And he called me up and said, I don't know if I can do this. I have no time. He was the oldest male in the family, and it was a traditional family where the oldest male took over and all the things. And we were like, don't worry about it. You don't even have to show up at your project. We'll keep reporting to you and all the things. And he took off and went to the funeral and took care of everything. And we remodeled his house and put it for sale. And he's never even been at the property, but he, maybe I'll interview him. I think this is a good idea. We'll bring him on and interview him. But he's building an entire real estate business with the Done For You project. So I want you to know your North Star, which is a question I don't think many people are asking, and you haven't asked yourself, and how to put that strategy behind it that you don't even have to run it. It can be done for you so that your North Star manages what happens next in your life and what happens next emotionally and also structurally in your life, and you've got what you want. If this sounds like something you want to explore, down in the show notes you can set up a quick call with me, 30 minutes. It's not a sales call. We're going to talk about your North Star and how do you figure it out, how do you figure out what your purpose is in drawing you forward, and how to lead your resources, your money that you have to invest so that you build what you really want, and you're not sitting in your car on Monday morning crying before you go into your practice or your office. I'm Paula Bohland, and I can't wait to be with you again and talk about another story and to do some interviews and show you what this is like, maybe even take you to some of the projects. And if you liked this episode, please subscribe and share it with somebody else who may need to hear it too.